This is Second Down on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel, glad to have y'all hanging out here as we are just a couple days away. We've been giving our reminder, especially to the dads out there, just a couple days away from Christmas. This will be your final Second Down of 2021. And I couldn't think of a better place to do it from than our good friends and neighbors at Walker Jones out in Waycross for their annual four-wheeler giveaway. There is still time to get out here to Waycross to sign up. Again, 18 years or older, and they are giving away a four-wheeler out here. We're going to do the drawing at 5 o'clock. So if you're in the area, hey, if you're not in the area, there's still time to make it. Pretty much anyone listening to me right now, if you get in your car right now and put the pedal to the metal, you can get out here to Walker Jones at Waycross and register to win this awesome four-wheeler they have parked out in front of the store. Got a really exciting show coming up for you guys today. Got a lot of college football news to dive into here. We're going to be joined by a couple of guests from Walker Jones here and also by Graham Coffey from Dog Post, one of the original people to break the news about JT Daniels' COVID situation, and then maybe some positive news for Georgia fans in regards to another player. So we'll be joined by Graham Coffey coming up here in a little bit. And then, as we said, with a couple of our friends from Walker Jones, but some big college football news to dive into here as we get started today. And I think the biggest news, at least for our area of coverage, the SEC, Missouri sophomore quarterback Connor Bazelak, who was the SEC co-freshman of the year in 2020, is entering the transfer portal. He announced it on Twitter after their disappointing loss to Army in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl on Wednesday night. He's entered the transfer portal, and that puts Missouri in a really interesting situation. Eli Drinkwitz coming in as a new head coach a couple years back has really transitioned in, and you could start to see the building blocks a little bit for this Missouri Tigers program. And then this year, kind of out of nowhere, I'd say the most surprising of all the signing classes that we saw, maybe outside of Texas A&M, but they had really started pushing towards the top of that class early. Missouri finished with a top 10 recruiting class in the early signing period there. So everything is kind of trending in the right direction for Missouri. And then Connor Bazelak hits the transfer portal, and he's going to be a hot commodity. This past year in 11 games, he completed 65.3% of his passes for 2,548 yards. The dude is a really good quarterback. I know a lot of Georgia fans out there have seen him play. He can sling the football around a little bit, and he's going to be a guy that I would watch. I know Auburn's looking for a quarterback right now because we see him stay inside of the conference. Ole Miss potentially looking for a quarterback right now. So a couple of openings inside the conference, or is he someone like we saw with Bo Nix? Nobody really had Bo Nix pegged for going to Oregon, and then he makes the trip up following Dan Lanning, Georgia's former defensive coordinator. I guess technically still current defensive coordinator kind of going on right there. So going to be interesting to watch with Connor Bazelak what happens there. And then the bigger news coming out this week, Texas A&M out of the Gator Bowl. I know it's not a New Year's Six Bowl. I know it's not a college football playoff semifinal, but still a big deal that Texas A&M not able to go. And I was really excited for that matchup. We were going to get Sam Hartman and Wake Forest against, I guess, Haynes King and Texas A&M, but two really good football programs going head-to-head. And then Texas A&M had to pull out because of a COVID outbreak out at their school. So the NCAA looking for someone, I guess I should say the oversight committee looking for someone. They found Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights coming in to save the day for the Gator Bowl. So now you have Wake Forest, Rutgers, and Rutgers. They're expected to receive the first opportunity to replace. I don't know yet. I know BJ is listening back in the studio. I don't know if Rutgers has confirmed that they're going to do that, but they're going to have the first rights to do that, and all indications are that the Scarlet Knights are planning to do that. So 5-7, typically the way that works is with the higher APR score, the higher the grades are for each team are the ones who get the first dibs at it. So 5-7 Rutgers potentially replacing Texas A&M. And think about what that means for Texas A&M, the kind of year that they had as a football team. I mean, you come in and all the talk is before the season, are they the new number 2 team in the SEC West? Could they potentially dethrone Alabama inside the SEC West? And as we're looking and watch the season go, it seemed kind of like they had it going in the right direction there. Then you beat Alabama and all the pressure's on you, right? It's like, could this really be the team who dethrones Alabama in the SEC West? And then as the season goes, you just start losing some silly games, right? You lose the back-to-back games before the Alabama game to Arkansas, Mississippi State. Then you beat Alabama. And as the season goes, you get down to the end of it, and you beat an LSU team in the last game of Ed Orgeron's tenure there on a last-second throw. So just a back-and-forth year. If I told Texas A&M fans before the year, you're going to beat Alabama, everyone thinks that you're going to end up in Atlanta, probably playing Georgia in the SEC championship. Instead, as it turns out, you go 8-4, and now you don't even have a chance at a bowl game because of a COVID outbreak. So really an up and down kind of a year out there for Texas A&M. Think about just the end of it, right? I mean, I think the end of this season kind of wraps up everything for Texas A&M. You have the number 1 overall recruiting class in the country, but then on the field, you can't even get to go out and play your bowl game. So just an up and down year for Texas A&M fans. And as much as we have said this college football season was going to be one that's just back and forth, we don't know how it's going to turn out. Alabama locks up the SEC West, blows out Georgia, an SEC champion, and right now they're the odds-on favorite to win the whole dang thing. So that's where we're at with Texas A&M being replaced by Rutgers there in the Gator Bowl. And then other hugely significant news, we touched on this a little bit yesterday. Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone, Alabama's offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, both test positive for COVID-19. Now, they are expected to return and be able to coach in the semifinal matchup out in the Cotton Bowl against Cincinnati. But how does that affect the prep for the game, right? You don't have the offensive coordinator out there. You don't have Doug Marrone, the offensive line coach, who, going back to that SEC championship, if you're going to give, I don't know if they do a coach of the game inside of any of these programs, but if you're going to give it to anybody, any position group, it would be that offensive line for Alabama. The way they were able to handle the stunts and the pass rush from Georgia, they dominated that football game up front. I would have given it to Doug Marrone. He coached those guys up phenomenally well for that SEC championship game. He's not going to be there, and now Bill O'Brien, their offensive coordinator, is not going to be there for a little while as well. Again, both are expected to coach, but how does this affect the bowl game prep? I really don't think it does. You still have Zoom. You still have computers. These guys can get with their assistants, get with their guys, and still be a part of this game planning going forward. Oh, and by the way, you have the greatest coach in the history of the sport as your head coach. I think Nick Saban is going to be able to figure this out. So a lot of moving parts there, but I think Alabama is going to be all right. Now, we've previewed both of these semifinals a lot heading up to it. I want to take a quick look at both of them right now. Just, again, last show for us prior to that game. So I know I want to kind of give you where my head's at right now. I want to start with Alabama and Cincinnati. The closer we get to this game, the more and more I think Cincinnati has a shot. Now, what does a shot mean? I mean, if I know BJ's got his kids up there right now. If his son throws a basketball to hoop, there is a shot, right? Doesn't mean that it's likely that the ball is going to go in, but there's still a chance that it does. So I'm going to say Cincinnati has a shot right now. And as I just kind of talk it out, right, what does Alabama like to do? They're not the Alabama of old where they're just going to pound Mark Ingram or a Derrick Henry at you over and over again until you quit, right? They've become the Alabama of Jalen Hurts, of Tua, of Mac Jones, right? They're going to throw the football around to a bunch of amazing pass catchers. What does Cincinnati do really well? They defend the pass really well, and they get after the quarterback really well. They have a Thorpe Award winner in Kobe Bryant, Kobe with a C, and then a guy that a lot of people think might be better than him, Sauce Gardner, who both of these guys are going to be first-round picks. They can match up with Alabama. And back in the SEC championship, you have John Mechie go down with a torn ACL. He is not going to be available for the rest of the year. You can take one of those guys, whichever one you think is the better man-to-man coverage guy, the guy who can run, and put him on Jamison Williams. And so all of a sudden, you're playing an NFL-style defense, right? You're saying, I have my lockdown, shutdown corner. I'm going to put him on one side of the field or just let him follow Jamison Williams around. Or you have both those guys. If they try to motion side of the field, you can take one of those guys and just have him motion with them, or you could play the two guys on either side of the field. If he motions to the left, you have Bryant there. If he motions to the right, you have Gardner there. Whatever you want to do, you can match up really well with this Alabama pass game. Now, here's where I think Nick Saban goes back to his roots is I think he looks at this game and says, I have Evan Neal. Evan Neal's 6'7", 340 pounds, and I have a lot of guys that look just like Evan Neal across this offensive line. Cincinnati doesn't have a whole lot of that on their defensive line. They don't have a lot of guys that can stop Alabama up front. I think Alabama, regardless of who the running back is, and Brian Robinson's really good, and he's going to have time to get healthy here. I think the game plan for Alabama coming into this one, if they want to make it just kind of a no contest, turn around, hand the football off 30, 40 times, and just absolutely demolish Cincinnati up front. I think the strategy, if you want to make this a ball game, and kind of, I guarantee you what Cincinnati's hoping for is they let Bryce Young drop back and throw the ball 30, 40 times, because one of those guys is going to get an interception. One of those guys is going to make that play. And then flipping it over to the other side of the football, when you look at Desmond Ritter, he's the type of quarterback, and this is the type of offense that have given the Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, and now Pete Golding defenses fits. Desmond Ritter can sit back there and throw the football if you let him, but also if you get just undisciplined with your pass rush, he can tear you apart with his legs as well. And they have some really, really good skill guys, including Ford, the running back who used to play for Alabama. So you have an Alabama running back in the backfield for the Bearcats. You have an NFL-level quarterback. You got a lot of really good skill guys. I think the line of scrimmage is really where this game's going to come down to. But again, if Alabama comes out and tries to play a finesse game, I think you're playing right into Cincinnati's hands. Now, the game you're all obviously interested in, we're obviously interested in, Georgia, Michigan. Right now, as I look at this game, I think the simple way to put it is it's two teams that like to do the same exact thing. One team just does it better, right? Michigan and Georgia both want to be run the football, throw the football 60-40, and then hit big play actions in your pass game. That's what they want to do. Georgia's been better at it this year than Michigan has defensively, right? They want to create havoc up front with their defensive line, and much better up front than they are on the back end, but still very good in the back end. But the front seven are really where both of these defenses make their money. A lot of NFL guys across both defensive fronts. So it's two teams that really like to do the same thing. But I like how Brooks Austin put it, was he said, Georgia does with 5 stars, Michigan does with 4 stars. That's the difference right now in this game. And I don't think Michigan has the quarterback or the horses out wide to really stretch Georgia in the secondary the way Alabama did. I think what Michigan wants to do is play bully ball like they did against Ohio State. And if there's one defense in this country you cannot play bully ball against, it's Georgia. So I think you have two teams that really like to do very similar things. I think offensively for Georgia, it's going to come down to, can the wide receivers create some separation, because you're going to have to hit some shots. Michigan, again, has a really good defensive front. They can probably shut down the run if they decide that's what they want. Now, if they do that, that kind of neutralizes their biggest threat, which is their defensive ends. If you can get them to where they're having to play solid run defense and they're not able to just tee off after Stetson, then it's a winning game plan, I guess is the best way to put that. If you do what you do in the SEC championship and drop back 38 times and allow those guys to go head hunting, I'd feel real bad for Stetson Bennett coming up on New Year's Eve. But right now, I think Georgia's about an 8-point favorite. I'd feel pretty comfortable with that at the moment. I think Georgia's just the better of those two teams. But again, really curious to see what this game plan looks like going forward. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back. Graham Coffey from Dog Post scheduled to join us. Going to break down what this COVID situation is currently looking like in Athens. I know Michigan is actually upping their timeline, heading down to Miami early so they can kind of start to get in that quote-unquote bubble and get their guys ready for this Orange Bowl. We'll get the latest from Athens when we talk to Graham Coffey next, right here on Second Down on ESPN Radio. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel live from Walker Jones and Waycross. Get you ready for this giveaway for this beautiful four-wheeler out here. There's still time to get out here and register. All you have to do, come out here to the brand new Walker Jones Chevrolet, and you can sign up for your chance to win the four-wheeler, which you will see as soon as you walk through the front doors. Graham Coffey, a little bit of a scheduling conflict with him, so we go to our own Stetson Bennett. I think the parallels here are just absolutely wonderful. Under 6 feet tall, both from South Georgia, and both coming off the bench in this situation to save the day. BJ Bennett, kind enough to hop on with us here. Thank you so much, BJ.
What an incredible introduction. I mean, really special. But yes, glad to be with you. Sounds like you're having a great time out there.
You know, I mean, sitting here looking at a bunch of really, really beautiful trucks that are just quite out of my price range, but I'm sure there's people listening to this right now that absolutely could come down here and get one of these pretty new Silverados that I'm being forced to stare at all day long. So, BJ, I know you were forced to listen to me just sit there and prognosticate about the semifinals coming up. I think the Cotton Bowl is a lot more interesting than a lot of people are giving it credit for. Cincinnati's a really good football team. I was talking about Marcus Freeman, the new head coach at Notre Dame. You look at his rise, right? He goes from Cincinnati defensive coordinator to Notre Dame defensive coordinator to Notre Dame head coach in like less than 2 years. They must be doing something right over at Cincinnati, because they were in the Peach Bowl last year, lost on a walk-off field goal to Georgia, and then they come into this season and go undefeated after that. I mean, they're doing something right.
I agree with your breakdown on both bowl games. I really think Cincinnati is a team that the nation is going to learn a lot about. And the point you made about the matchup of Cincinnati's secondary against Alabama's wide receivers makes a lot of sense, because very few teams can match cover corners with wide receivers when you play Alabama. And when you look at the two corners for Cincinnati, they are probably the best tandem in the country. And Kobe Bryant is Kobe with a C. Bryant just won the Thorpe Award as the best defensive back in the country. And the other corner, quote unquote, is going to be a first round pick, Ahmad Gardner. They call him Sauce. And so you have on the perimeter, you have the best, by the committee of the Thorpe Awards opinion, best defensive back in the country, and then a guy that is a bona fide first-round pick, cornerback 1. And keep in mind, as you mentioned, Alabama has Jameson Williams, who leads the SEC in receiving yards. They do not, unfortunately, have John Mechie, who's out with an ACL injury. So it's going to be Slade Bolden or somebody else out there. And this is a really balanced Cincinnati team, Christian, whether it's Desmond Ritter and what he can do as a dual threat playmaker, whether it's Myjai Sanders coming off the edge, rushing the passer. This team can run, they can pass, they can defend the run, they can defend the pass. And I think, and I said this yesterday on the show, I think that it's more likely the Cotton Bowl is a close game than the Orange Bowl. Do you buy that at all?
Wow, I would go the other way. So what's the thought process there? You think Georgia's going to just blow it out?
Yeah, I think what you said is what's really salient to me. Of course, Michigan is one of the nation's best rushing teams. They are top 5 in the country in rushing, have multiple backs, really good offensive line. I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters against Georgia. If you're going to beat Georgia, you have to do it with an elite passing game. And go back to the SEC championship. How did you finally make Georgia look average on defense? You had to have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and 2 of Alabama's most productive receivers ever. That's how you did it. And a first round pick at tackle. I look at Michigan and I see a team that doesn't have what Alabama has on the perimeter. They're good throwing the football with Cade McNamara. You have some good wide receivers, but it's a bad matchup. We hear about matchups, Christian, all the time in the NCAA basketball tournament, right? Where it's not so much what your seed is, it's the matchup. I don't know how Michigan moves the football against Georgia, because you are not going to line up in the power I, run it between the tackles, and have consistent production. That's not going to happen against a historically good front 7. So I'm not saying I think Cincinnati is in a 3-4 point game with Alabama, but I think that the Cotton Bowl has a higher chance to be a close competitive game than the Orange Bowl, because I just don't know what Michigan does to threaten Georgia defensively.
Well, here's my question about the Cotton Bowl is, how worried are you if you're a Cincinnati fan when in the first drive Alabama comes out with like 2 tight ends and runs the football 8 or 9 times?
That's the big fear. I think it plays into the strengths of Cincinnati if you see a game plan similar to what Alabama had in Atlanta in the SEC championship game. What would be worrisome, you're right, is if you come out, there's Evan Neal at 6'7", 340 pounds. There's 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, and a fullback. You're looking around going, this is not what we want. Right. So I think the game plan is going to dictate a lot of what we see in the Cotton Bowl. But yes, I'm with you. It seems counterintuitive, right, to say we don't want necessarily the focal point of our game plan to be the Heisman Trophy winner or maybe the best receiver in college football. But I think against this defense, you can control the line of scrimmage, dictate the tempo of the game from there. And I think sounds wrong to say. I think a more conservative game plan in terms of traditionally running the football, kind of compartmentalizing the game, is one that benefits Alabama. Yes.
Let me ask you this, because you've been covering the SEC for a long time. What's the common thread for a team to upset Alabama?
It's normally a dynamic quarterback and then something crazy. And here's why I say that. And people may be going, what are you talking about? Well, look at the teams that have defeated Alabama. You have the Johnny Manziel, I'm about to get sacked. I spin out of 2 sacks and I throw a touchdown pass. You have the accidental touchdown catch from Quincy Adebayo when Ole Miss beat Alabama, where the ball's tipped at the line of scrimmage. He catches it and goes 70 yards. You have the kick 6 where obviously Alabama thought they were about to win, and it took the greatest play in college football history for Auburn to win. Then you think about the interceptions off the shoe in the Iron Bowl. You think about the return of the interception from Smoke Monday. You have to have a quarterback that makes plays. And then beyond that, I don't want to call it luck, because there's a famous quote about luck, that luck doesn't go around looking for a stumble bum. You put yourself in position to be lucky, but you need something unique to happen. So a dynamic quarterback and then something extraordinary that kind of swings the momentum. Do you buy that?
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, even I know it turned out to be a blowout, but think back to the 2018 national championship, first drive pick 6, just completely swings the momentum. If you can have something like that, and then Texas A&M. I mean, I think Texas A&M and Clemson were really the last 2 losses for Alabama where they just straight up got beat, where the other team just played football better than them for 4 quarters, even though I guess you could say Zach Calzada had like a broken leg and still came back out there and was able just to throw dimes in the back of the end zone. So
but even in that game, Christian, even in that game, you had a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Right.
Texas A&M. So you have to have the quarterback play, but that's not enough. It's got to be something else. Do you have the turnover? Do you have the special teams play? It's got to be something else too.
All right, let me ask you this. I know you never want to have it to where somebody's hurt or somebody's sick, but the fact that JT Daniels now in the COVID protocol, I think that makes Georgia's quarterback situation very clear. Do you think there's any sort of pressure that gets taken off or any sort of, I guess, just release for Stetson where he's like, I know I'm the guy, at least for this game coming in?
I think Stetson's the guy. I think he's earned that. And look, in the SEC championship game, you had a couple of throws you wanted back. Probably had a couple of throws that actually weren't picks that you wanted back. But I still think you saw Georgia move the football through the air. You had over 300 yards passing. You had, 3 touchdowns. And even with a down performance in Atlanta, Stetson Bennett is still in the top 10, I believe still in the top 5 in passer rating nationally. So obviously, you hope everybody's healthy, everybody can go. But I don't think there's a quarterback controversy at Georgia. I think that Stetson Bennett has helped Georgia get to this point. I think Stetson Bennett has earned the right to be the guy and to have the chance and the opportunity to go out there and play your game. I also think that we're overreacting a little bit, just going back to the narrative, Christian, after the SEC championship game. I know a lot of people said, oh man, Stetson threw picks. Stetson, didn't complete 80% of his passes. Well, who does? Normally when you play a top 5 team or you play in a championship game, there might be a turnover or two. You might be off a little bit. I don't think Stetson played his best. I think he would tell you that, but I think he's still the best option for Georgia and is clearly the guy ahead of what's coming up on the schedule.
Well, I think the question is this. You can't really think of the last national champion where like a quarterback hasn't had to transcend just at least in a couple of games right now. Have there been like semifinals and championships where they were blowouts? Sure. But just during the season where the quarterback just had to step up and show out above everyone else and carry the team to a victory, I don't know that we've seen Stetson have to do that yet. And I think the concern for Georgia fans is when you have had to see him do it last year against Alabama, last year against Florida. Granted, he got hurt against Florida, but still wasn't a great game for him before that last year against Florida. And then this year against Alabama, it's what I compared it to is just, it just seems like Stetson this year, the way that Kirby Smart and Todd Monken have sort of catered to him has been like you just drive your car in second gear all the time. Like you never go above 35 miles an hour. So Stetson's throwing the ball 24, 25 times a game, and then you're either putting a backup in or you're just running the football for the rest of the game like they did against Kentucky. You never see him have to rev it up. And so when you had to see it last year against Alabama, when you had to see it this year against Alabama, it just wasn't there. And when it started going, it's like, yeah, you hit some, but it got very clunky, and it just didn't seem like Georgia's offense was comfortable. I think the question for Georgia fans is Stetson, and I think the bigger question should be, is this offense ready to have to go into high gear when they need it?
Yeah, and look, I think it's fair to look back at what's happened in spotlight games and say, can we improve on that? But I would also, when you look at Stetson or the Georgia offensive body of work over the last 2 years, I mean, there have been points that aren't on par necessarily with Alabama that have been really validating from a kind of showdown showcase type game point of view. If you want to go back 2 years ago, Stetson Bennett played really well against a good Auburn team. If you want to look at this season, I think the performance against Arkansas, and I know a lot of people forget that Arkansas was in the top 10, but you played an Arkansas team that was in the top 10. You played a Kentucky team that could finish with 10 wins, and you were really good in those games. So I think there should be confidence in Stetson Bennett. To your point about championship quarterbacks, right. I mean, the first names that come to mind are going to be the Joe Burrows, are going to be the Tuas, but even with Tua, not to bring up the last national championship loss for Georgia, but even to bring up Tua, you did not have much offensively from Alabama in the first half. Tua comes in, and I don't know that he was spectacular all the way around. I mean, he threw an interception to nobody, threw an accidental touchdown pass, but he had the one play, he had the signature moment. You go back to the first championship game of the college football playoff. that wasn't Ohio State winning because of quarterback play. That
That's
was
true.
Ezekiel Elliott leading the Buckeyes to a championship. You go back to the last BCS national title. Yes, you had Jameis Winston for Florida State, but he did not play well. You had a kickoff return in the fourth quarter for Florida State. So I think there are modern examples of running games, defenses, special teams kind of being the signature plays in a championship game. But yes, Stetson Bennett's got to be better than he was in the first SEC championship game. But I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt, and I think he's earned the trust of the Georgia players and coaches.
All right, let me ask you this. What other bowl games outside of those New Year's Six ones are you looking forward to? Because I talked about this. I'm excited for the Dukes Mayo Classic because I want to see I'm honestly God rooting for North Carolina now. I like Shane Beamer's been really cool, but just the Mac Brown quote where he said I'd be willing to not only get Mayo dumped on me, but get hit in the face with a frying pan just to win a game. I'm like, yeah, and I also just want to see Mac covered in mayonnaise. So that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, not for me. Look, I appreciate the sentiment and the idea, and it would be kind of cool, but I can't even look at mayonnaise. Like mayonnaise just is tough for me. I appreciate that it means a lot to a lot of people, but for me, if I'm getting like a grilled cheese sandwich or a ham sandwich, there's no mayonnaise. Now, game I'm looking forward to, you might think, why are you picking a pre-Christmas bowl game? Florida and Central Florida. Because this is not a great Florida team. To be fair, I don't know that it's a great Central Florida team. But if UCF wins this game, this becomes a lingering narrative. This becomes, hey, Florida and Central Florida wouldn't play each other a couple of years ago. They couldn't make it work. It happened, and we beat you. Not only do we have a more recent national championship, if you're UCF, we beat you head-to-head. That game's a sellout, Christian, down in Tampa, the Gasparilla Bowl. I think that's going to be a fun game tonight.
What percentage of it do you think is black and gold?
Probably 85, and I think that's part of the intrigue, right? Florida's one of the great programs in college football history, one of the modern dynasty type teams. But tonight they're going to have to earn it, and if they don't, we're going to hear about it.
I think that one's fascinating, and I think if Florida loses that game, they have to schedule the home and home with UCF because you can't just let that sit over your head. That it's like, hey, you would never play us, and we finally played, you caught that L. So I mean, who's the real best team in Florida? Like, yeah, you immediately have to schedule the home and home. You got a special coming up with your dad after we finish up here on Second Down. Anybody else joining the show today?
Yes, Ben is here. So Ben and I are going to chat with some family members, including, I think we're going to chat with my kids. So I don't know if I'm looking forward to that or if I'm more kind of concerned about where that could go, but we're going to have a good time. Not going to do a ton of sports talk. We're going to talk just about the holidays and this time of year. But yeah, we will be on 3 and Out. We're going to have some.
Is your dad currently in the building?
I saw him a moment ago and he ran off, but he's probably already scheming things to
Okay, so he's not listening to the radio right now?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so he came up to me yesterday and goes, hey, I need your help with something. And I go, anything, whatever you need. And he goes, I want to come up with, what do you guys call those things when you come back? I'm like, rejoiners? Like when we come back from commercial, like, yeah, those. I want to come up with some of those that'll make BJ's skin crawl. And I was like, we can absolutely make that happen.
That's just great. I'm not surprised. And that's why I always look forward to this. Been able to do it for like a decade or so, kind of have a Christmas or close to Christmas show, but I'm also always a little anxious. But yes, we will have that coming up.
All right, that's coming up at 3 o'clock. We got to take a quick break here again out at Walker Jones and Waycross. You have until 5 o'clock to get out here to sign up to win a four-wheeler, giving it away tonight at 5 o'clock. You get Walker Jones on Memorial Drive in Waycross. We'll be right back here on ESPN Radio after this. quick question. What is the name of the lady who works the front desk for Uncle Bill's? Christian Gokel coming to you live from Walker Jones and Waycross, and got a special guest with us, Nikki from Walker Jones. Nikki, tell the folks what we got going on out here.
We're giving a four-wheeler away today at 5:00.
Now, people still have time to get in here and sign up for it.
Yes, sir. They can come up until I think they said 4:30.
Now, you are doing the drawing.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any particular like style when you with the hand? Do you shake it?
I'm just gonna put my hand in, move it all around several times, move it up and down, and grab one.
Now, this isn't like you have to fill out like 17 things, and then maybe if you get through all of these hoops, you're going to get this four-wheeler. You guys have done this for a few years now.
Right.
And there's a bunch of people out here riding around on four-wheelers that you guys have given to them.
Oh, yes, sir. You just come in. You have to be 18 or older. You come in and sign up.
Now, 2 days away from Christmas, and I've been given a rundown basically for the past 10 days to all the dads out there, because I know they don't start shopping until about right about now. How much have you gotten done?
Almost all of it, but a couple of things.
Do you think your kids are listening right now? I highly doubt it.
No.
I highly doubt it. Like, what's the biggest thing under the tree right now?
One's getting a gun and one's getting a touchscreen radio for his truck.
Breaking it down for them.
Yeah.
That's a good mom right there. Now, what did you ask from them?
Oh, from
for
them,
Christmas?
Nothing. Just their love. To be healthy.
That's always important. What's the best gift they've given you though?
Themselves.
Well, I mean, I think that was more of a you. That was more of a self gift.
Like a real gift.
That was more like of a self gift. I don't know if they had any sort of say in that matter.
No, I don't know. I've gotten a lot of good things.
How many crates at your house are just full of just like handmade stuff? from when
Oh,
they were
yeah.
kids?
A lot. A lot.
Now the Christmas tree, is that just full of handmade ornaments, or is that
It's both. I have some handmade and some new ones.
okay?
And
So
different things that we bought each year while they were growing up.
there we go. So you've been sitting out at the front desk out there, and you got the big 4-wheeler parked in front of it. About how many people have you seen in and out of here signing up for it?
A lot.
A whole
A
lot.
whole lot.
But there's still a chance if you get in here and you sign. Everybody's got the same chance.
Right. Everybody has the same chance.
You can't stuff the ballot box.
Right.
Correct.
Only one drawing per person.
There we go. And Nikki has been in control of it since the get-go. Nikki, we appreciate it. Explaining everybody what's going on. We hope y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas, and everybody come on. Don't forget.
Yeah, you got time. You got about an hour and 45 minutes
Yes,
to
you
still
don't
get
wanna
out here and
miss
sign
out.
up. There we go. 4-wheeler giveaway out here at Walker Jones in Waycross. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, wrap up second down next, right here on ESPN Radio. Boom.
Thanks. That was.
Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel coming to you live from Walker Jones and Waycross as they're getting ready to give away a four-wheeler. Still time to sign up. You have until 4:30 to get out here. Walker Jones on Memorial Drive in Waycross. Just have to be 18 years or older. Put down your phone number and an email, and you're entered to win. And I can't think of anybody I'd rather have for my final segment of 2021 than the general manager here at Walker Jones, a guy I've known for a long time, Mr. Mike Cookio. Mike, thanks for taking the time, man.
Good to have you, Christian.
We appreciate you having us out here. And I know coming down to the end of it, just tell the folks what's going on out here at Walker Jones, because it seems like this time of the year, time just doesn't really exist. There's no constraints back and forth, but you guys going all the way through the end of the year.
Well, it's been an exciting year. Been a tough year. We've had construction, had different people in different places, and inventory's been a little tough. Actually, though, inventory's starting to pick up. So, we're excited. I think year-end specials, there'll be plenty of specials, and of course, those used cars are worth more than they've ever been worth. So, it's a great time to trade at Walker Jones.
I'm looking at, I've got to say, a lot of pretty new trucks out there in the brand new Walker Jones Chevrolet building.
Yes, it's been very thin, though. That's a welcome sight
right.
to see trucks on the lot. But you're right, it's there, and deals everywhere.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because it seemed like in this year has been tough on everyone. Really, the past couple of years has been really tough. But as you sit here now at the end of 2021, kind of coming out the other side of it, seems like you guys, through a lot of hard work and a lot of good people, are coming out on the positive side of it.
Yeah, you're right. That's it's all about our people, and we've got great people and great products, and again, we're a strong supporter in our communities, and so it works well. We give back to our community because they support us.
Absolutely. Now, I know you were dialed in on selling some cars from now through forever, but coming up 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve, I know what you're going to be locked into. Georgia, Michigan. Coming up, Georgia's trying to just get that bad taste out of their mouth from the SEC championship. Michigan is riding high, beat the Ohio State for the first time in forever. What's your breakdown on this one?
Well, I'm excited because I think exactly what you said. That humbling they got in the SEC championship can work either way. I mean, it can sometimes put a downer on the season, but I hear in Athens they're working extra hard, and they've got a hunger to, I think Michigan's going to get the best Georgia. So it should be a great ball game.
Who have been some of the guys that you've liked watching this year on that team? Because there's a lot of names that Georgia fans are going to remember forever.
I mean, the defense is like Jordan Davis, Dean.
Yep.
You
like Jalen Carter.
Oh, I love Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is a beast. Jalen Carter can do so many things. You name any of the defensive players. I mean, big and fast, and they go to the ball.
Now you got a bunch of South Georgia guys out there really playing significant roles for this. Right tackle Warren McClendon from Brunswick. You have Nolan Smith from Savannah, and then, of course, Stetson Bennett from out here at Pierce County. Always got to be cool to see these local guys doing big things.
That's the good thing about Kirby Smart is he does not forget about South Georgia.
Well, no, from Bainbridge, yeah.
That's right. So he recruits South Georgia, and it's paying off for him.
And I was going to say, it's usually you want to recruit from winning programs, and you've seen what these couple programs out here have been able to do. I shouldn't say a couple. I mean, obviously Pierce, the success that they've had, Ware County, the success they've had, and then Brantley really turning a corner as well. Been a lot of highly successful high school programs out here as well.
Yes, I'm excited. And, of course, over your way in Savannah, man, they had some athletes this year in Savannah, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, the Benedictine and then a lot of those other teams. I know it's one of those things where you go from watching and supporting somebody, now he's going to be an Auburn quarterback. You're like, man, you're really good. It's not for like 1 week a year. Not for 1 week a year.
That's right. Well, I'm excited for him because he's quite special.
Yeah, Holden Garner is a name to watch for sure. And now with Bo Nix heading up to Oregon, we might be seeing him. Seeing him sooner than we thought. Well, Mike, as you guys wrap up this year here, man, how excited are you to get to spend some time with the family? I know Christmas is a special time for a lot of people, but you got the seasonal shirt on today. You're good to go.
Well, yeah, we're going to slow down a little bit, a few days anyway, and enjoy family.
What's a Christmas menu look like at the Cookio house?
Well, it's always different. We'll eat steaks on Friday or Christmas Eve with Robin's family, my wife's family, and then go over to her family's home in Douglas Pearson and have barbecue and just have a fun day. You know, we've got a lot of grandkids, so we'll have fun. None of my own, but Robin's sister has.
Was that a message? Maybe some of your kids?
Yeah. I don't think it's sinking in.
Well, Mike Cookio, general manager out here at Walker Jones, we always appreciate the time, brother. Look forward to talking to you in the new year.
Thanks, Christian.
Again, Mike Cookio out here at Walker Jones. You have until 4:30 to get out here and sign up for the four-wheeler giveaway. Just have to be 18 years or older. We're wrapping up second down here for 2021, getting you ready for the Bennett Christmas special. Ben Troop, BJ Bennett, and their family is going to be on the radio coming up here in just a couple of minutes, getting you ready for the holidays, regaling you with what I'm sure are just completely PG stories from the Bennett household. I'm sure Ben is just going to be nice and just neutral throughout the entire thing. So it should just be a nice, easy listen, taking you in to the holidays. Christmas Eve coming up tomorrow. Got a ton of great football heading your way. And then, of course, the Christmas Day is for NBA, and we'll have a ton of NBA action for you here on ESPN Radio. But on a personal note, I want to take a second and just say thank you to everyone that has listened along with us in 2021. It's wild to think that we started this show back in June of 2020. So we're coming up on a year and a half of doing this with you guys, and we couldn't do it without you. Couldn't do it without y'all's support day in and day out. We love talking sports with you. We got to ride through the beginning of COVID last year with the Braves and just kind of the delay, not knowing if college football or any kind of sport was going to be there for that matter. So many just top 10 lists while we were waiting for sports to come back. But you guys rolled through all of it with us, and we can't say thank you enough for doing that. You rode through last year with the Braves, getting all the way to the NLCS, through this year on ESPN Radio, listening as the Braves couldn't give above 500, battling, made some acquisitions, lost Ronald Acuna, but then at the end of the year, coming out as World Series champions, going through this 12-0 stretch with the University of Georgia, and as they get ready for the college football semifinals. It's been so much fun to talk about it and to listen to y'all and have y'all call in and express your opinions with us. It's what we live for. It's what we love to do. So blessed to be able to get to do this every single day, and can't wait to do it all over again with you guys in 2021. For Cam Mercery, for PJ Zuko, who are spread out all over the country, I'm Christian Gokel. See you in 2021.